Perhaps we've all heard what Socrates said, that it's the unexamined life that is the one that's not worth living. But it was Ignatius of Loyola, a former military man who found Christ and came under the sweeping power of his love, who began to establish an order, calling monks to himself, who began to move in mission throughout during the Middle Ages. Before he would let one of these men join his order, he invited them into a process that was called the Examen. To go into the wilderness for a long 30-day retreat and ask the question, is this right for me? Is this what you're doing in my life, God? Is this the season that I'm in? And in that Examen process, the celebrant was invited to learn to listen freshly again, to become aware of God's presence, to pay attention to their emotions, particularly competing claims on any decision that they're making. And lastly, to give gratitude for those things which came to mind during the Examen, with an eye to look to God what is next. He had examens that he would call the long, that was the 30-day one, that was ideal for anyone about to make a large decision or a large life change. But he also imagined the Examen being a part of your daily practices. His idea was this, that there was no decision you had to face alone. No decision that you had to tackle and be in submission to your inordinate desires, to be at the whims of your own clamoring spirit or competing loves in your life. That you could bring yourself under the leadership of God freshly on a daily basis and be free from yourself. Some have called the Examen the decision maker's spiritual process. We think that that's right for emerging and executive leaders who would join the Asbury Seminary Doctor of Ministry program. That we would be cultivating in ourselves a capacity for discernment in the moment, a capacity for reflection when the big decisions come, and the habit of practicing, particularly at the turning points in our lives, long periods of withdrawal and retreat, and renewal and recommitment. Before Asbury Seminary Doctor of Ministry candidates come to our campus for the first residency, they're asked to pick a rhythm of the Examen that's right for them and their circumstances. And for some, that may be a full 30-day withdrawal from life. Daily responsibilities, family responsibilities, to reflect on this grand decision that in the end will set a trajectory for finishing well. Not everybody has that sort of luxury though, with time, calendar. Others may decide, I'm going to sanctify my Monday afternoons, 7 Mondays in a row that I set aside for reflection on the questions that are before me, the decisions that are before me. Others may master the art of what I call the 24-hour retreat. Check into a hotel at noon, you begin to make yourself available to God, listening, bringing the decisions, maybe the reading of Scripture in an active way around your decisions, and you check out again 12 noon the next day. That's about all that some of us can afford. And still some may have just a few hours that they can dedicate to the reflective process. You know your own rhythms. It is a part of our values here in the Doctor of Ministry program to see that leaders make allies with God in their decision making. That they are progressively freed up from their own appetites and their own clamoring spirit when it comes down to making decisions. As you consider joining our community and the leadership formation process that we have in place, take Socrates seriously, that it's the unexamined life that's the one that's not worth living. Paul said it differently. He says, we judge ourselves lest we be judged. And in this symphony of thoughtful leaders in church history, we want to step into those kinds of disciplines and have a life that's worthy, that's examined, that is an honor to God.